Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, it's a month before the trade deadline, so we're going to look around the league and talk about which teams have to make a trade mid-season. Plus, is one of those teams the Oklahoma City Thunder?
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in, on YouTube or your podcast app, thanks so much for making us your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg. Today, we're talking about which teams need to make a trade before the deadline. The Thunder showing some flaws in Jaylen Brown, forcing his way into the MVP conversation, and we're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast, he's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Dennis Jenkins isn't talked about enough. The stuff that he's doing for the Pistons and how good he's been for being a two-way guy. He's the type of player that I wish we got more coverage of because we're so star heavy in this league. And the guys that come out of nowhere and have these runs where they really impact their teams and they become like vital contributors, like those are great stories. That's the product of hard work and having believed in yourself and pushed yourself and getting that and earning that opportunity. So shout out to Dennis Jenkins, who I really enjoyed watching this season for the Pistons.
Great way to start the Monday pod. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, also Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are ready for a very, very petty year. That's all I can say. I'm just going to keep pushing it.
Let's push the pettiness. Pettiness for Dennis Jenkins?
No, I actually like Dennis Jenkins.
Okay.
You can't not like Dennis Jenkins. Come on now.
How could you not like him? He's got way more S's than you think he has. Today marks a month before the February 5th trade deadline, so I wanted to ask you guys about which teams we think need to make a midseason trade. But before we do that, Matt George from Locked On Kings had an interesting observation from the weekend about Zach LaVine's return from an injury in their game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's more from Matt.
But suddenly it makes a whole lot of sense for the Kings and for Zach, if he's interested in going to Milwaukee, to play in tonight's game and audition for the Milwaukee Bucks, who are, again, the only team that I've heard and read and seen that really has any sort of legitimate possible connection to a potential LaVine trade. Now, I'll be honest with you, regardless of what he did tonight, even if he scored 50 points, I have a hard time believing that Zach is going to get traded. I don't think it's going to happen. It's because his contract is that bad, and the money is so scared around the league right now. I don't think Zach is the right risk for the Bucks to take. I don't think Zach LaVine moves the needle enough for the Milwaukee Bucks in their desperate attempt to keep Giannis, for them to trade what they'll need to trade to take on that money in order to bring him in.
Interesting take there from Matt George over at Locked On Kings. Let's just start with the Milwaukee Bucks before we get your guys' takes on the other teams that need to make a trade. Clearly, the Bucks need to do something, Matt. Do you think Zach LaVine would move the needle for them?
I'm not sure that they need to do anything. I'm really not, because for starters, let's take this like big picture, right? If you are honest of, we may not have Giannis next year, you can't do a deal. I think it's one thing when it was like Drew Holiday and it was like, yeah, if you don't do something, Giannis might want to leave, versus there were talks last summer with the Knicks. Now you're in a different spot where it's like, you can't do something that's going to set back your franchise if he leaves too. Like, what if you don't get the pick package back that you want? What if you don't get the assets back that you want in that deal, which is very difficult to do with a superstar player? I would be pretty hesitant to do that. The other thing is just like, look, they're 16-20, which ain't good. They're also in 11th spot. They're 3 games back in the loss column of the 8, and they are 6 games back from the 5. You could put this together. Like, you could get this kind of figured out. I actually don't know if the Bucks need necessarily to do anything. The other thing is that if you look at the numbers, when it's Giannis, Ryan Rollins, AJ Green, and Kevin Porter Jr., when those guys are together, they kill teams. They're great. They got to figure out the non-Giannis, and I don't think Zach LaVine is going to hold up the non-Giannis minutes enough, Haize.
Zach LaVine is an interesting case because, like, we've seen Zach have really efficient seasons, close to 50, 40, 90. He can put up points. He's never played with a player like Giannis. So I won't say that it can't help them because seeing LaVine play off a player like that where, Giannis needs 3-point shooting. LaVine can do that. The off Giannis minutes, LaVine can carry some of the scoring load. The thing about LaVine is not whether he can put up numbers or anything like that. It's like, is he going to make the winning play? The thing that LaVine, that a lot of people don't talk about is that his decision-making down the stretch of games is absolutely terrible. And just sometimes overall it is like, so I know the Bucks feel like they have to do something, and LaVine would be better than Kuzma for them. I think that I truly believe that, but I don't know if it's a needed move, if that makes sense.
So, Haize, what teams do need to make a move, if not the Milwaukee Bucks?
I mean, the Bucks need to make a move. I'm just not sure if it's for Zach LaVine. I definitely think the Bucks need to make a move. I think the Atlanta Hawks need to make a move too. I think they have to move Trae. I think at this point, seeing that time with Trae, it makes it clear. Those are kind of the two that pop off at the top of my head right now.
Yeah, the Hawks got to come on.
They got to make
come on, man. Like Jalen Johnson's so good.
Yeah,
go all in. Don't be scared. It's okay. It's gonna be all right without Trae. It's gonna be all right. Pelicans. Hey, so if the problem, so I was just looking at it. The Bucks are plus 9.1 with Giannis on the court. Pretty freaking good. They're minus 9.1 when Giannis is on the bench. Not so good. Like, it really is just there. They have already proven they don't care about the character stuff because Kevin Porter Jr. is their guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if they trade for Zion? And you put Giannis at 3 and Zion at 4, or Giannis at 4 and Zion at 5. You're not worried about rebounding. And you've got Zion able to hold up the bench. Like, Zion can hold up the bench unit. You put Ryan Rollins and Zion Williamson in that second unit, and that's probably going to put together some pretty amazing. Like, I get the injury stuff, but if you need somebody who you can buy low on that you're not going to give up all of these assets for. So to me, it's like, look, Kyle Kuzma, pick one of the young players that you like from our guys. Like, AJ Green's actually a really impactful player, could play really well around Derek Queen. Zion to me makes more sense than LaVine.
See, that's the thing. I don't think the Pelicans are just trying to sell Zion that low either. Like, I think that's like, I get it. I get the thought process. I get that they need to move on from Zion, but that's really getting nothing back at all for Zion Williamson. I'm just not sure if that's where the Pelicans are right now. Like, I don't see it personally, but maybe I'm wrong there.
We've discussed the contenders, guys, and we kind of have varying tiers of these contenders, but we kind of agree on the teams. Is there a contender out there, or maybe a team just on the fringe of that should make a trade, and then if they make the right trade, maybe they vault up a tier, maybe they vault up into that group of contenders? I could throw one at you guys. The one that I'm thinking of right now is the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Like, this is a team that got a nice win against the Heat over the weekend, but has sort of been up and down all season long. Is that a team that might need to make a move?
Sorry, I had children banging upstairs. What was the team?
The Minnesota Timberwolves. Or maybe there's another contender type team.
Yeah, okay. So the Wolves fans clued me in because I was like, look, you can't really put Ant in the MVP conversation because these numbers, etc. And they were like, look at the Conley minutes. Oh, God. Oh, it's bad. So, like, they need a point guard. They need, like, I will continue to say Julius Randle for LaMelo Ball. That is my favorite trade concept in the entire league. But they might be a team that really needs to look at Trae Young too. Like, it is to the point of you have to get a point guard that can play, that can hold up right now next to Ant. That to me might be one of the biggest need in the league. Is the Wolves have got to get a point guard. Right. The Bones Highland, Rob Dillingham stuff is over, Haize. They got to get a point.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that the Wolves have to find a point guard. They do. Between Conley, like, they got to find a point guard. I'm just not sure if Trae is the point guard that they need there. I think with Ant growing as a facilitator, you don't necessarily need somebody who is going to be like a traditional bring the ball up the court point guard. I think you need somebody who can play the position and do some of that, but also can score a little bit too and play off of Ant. I don't know who that is. But I do agree that they do need a point guard, and it would make some sense that they try to do that. I think also, like, I know we've talked about this, but I think just for the nature of the conversation, I have to mention this team. The Boston Celtics, they get the right big, they're right there as a contender. And to Matt's point before, they may be a contender without it, but I think Boston Celtics get the right center, and Jason Tatum comes back. They can not only just be a contender, they may be the favorite in the East.
Another team That's a contender that might need to make a trade. The Oklahoma City Thunder, strangely enough, that might be one of the teams that need to make a trade. We're going to hear from Locked On Thunder's host about a potential flaw in their roster and one that they might need to address before the trade deadline after this. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Daily is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into a player projections just for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down. And Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks was quick and simple. The app is super easy to navigate and made watching games more engaging, especially when following individual player performances. I love the flexibility with options like Flex Play, where you could still get paid even if one of your pick misses. And the new early payout feature is a game changer. If a player starts hot, you can cash out before the game is over. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We air Mondays to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. After starting the season 24-1, the Thunder have lost 4 of their last 11 games. Oh no! That's including a Sunday game against the Phoenix Suns. Doesn't sound like much, but according to Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder, this stretch has exposed a roster flaw that could lead to some tough decisions.
3-point shooting. This one, unequivocally, yes, that's a concern. It's a massive concern, but it dives into the trade-offs of how do you fix it? And the answer to that, as you're typing away, I can hear your keyboard clacking. The answer to that is make a trade for a more consistent, reliable shooter. Okay, but then what? Because if the trade-offs of getting in a more consistent, reliable shooter is that you lose anything to your already positive identity and championship identity, like your defense, like your across-the-board playmaking, like your ability to be in transition, well, then is the trade-off worth it at that point? Does that fix one problem to create another?
Haize, I think it's a really interesting question about, hey, we have this flaw, I guess you can define it. And worth noting, Isaiah Joe wasn't in that game that Rylan was recapping there, but that's sort of their three-point shooter that comes off the bench. But they still, this is not an elite three-point shooting team. You think about today's NBA and how important three-point shooting is, what the Indiana Pacers were able to do to them in the NBA Finals and force 7 games. What is that trick to, hey, let's maybe address a need in three-point shooting while not giving away the identity of the group in terms of our defense?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. That's the thing. Like, you don't want to do something that is going to mess up your identity. I think if I'm the Thunder, I'd just make it through the season. Worry about maybe trying to address shooting with your mid-level exception or something next year. I don't want to throw off anything that could possibly even a little bit throw off the balance of this team by giving up a piece. They fit so well together. The defense is so good. I'm worried that to what Rylan said, that you just be creating a new problem trying to solve one.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I think the idea that fans have is, well, you add a shooter and then everybody else just guards their guy and then it'll be fine. And here's the problem, okay? When you have one guy who is a defensive liability, and if you are, especially versus this team, that guy will get attacked 90% of the time in a playoff environment. Because if you're the opposing team, you're like, I'm not going against Dort. I'm not going against Case and Wallace. I'm not going against Caruso. I'm not going against Hartenstein. I'm not going against Chet. I'm not even going against Shea, right? Shea got picked on last year because it was like the best of bad options. Shea's a pretty good defender, just best of bad options. You add a guy who's a pure shooter who is not a plus defender, and that guy will get picked on. And then here's what happens. His teammates start being like, well, I got to help him out. I don't want my teammate to get beat. It's not like he sucks. It's just like, hey, I'm going to help out my teammate. So you start drifting off. And now all of their defensive principles start to break down because that player passes now to the open guy. He's downhill. Oh, now you're rotating. And now OKC's in rotation, and that's not where they want to be. So it really does. Like, one guy can fundamentally break down your system. And that's where I think it gets really tough. They have a proven identity. They win because of their defense. They never won because of their offense. Their offense statistically is really good, but it has never felt like this dominant thing to me. There are not there are no top end shooters who also defend at a high enough level that would justify what they would have to give up, even with the plethora of assets that they have. It does not make sense for OKC to make a trade.
The other part about this is Jalen Williams, since he's returned, he's only shooting 31% from three. It feels like once he kind of gets going, and if Isaiah Jones could stay healthy. But there are a lot of times where they're running out lineups with Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso. It's a little bit like the Knicks' problem with Josh Hart is you like all the other things that he does, but then defenses are figuring out, okay, we could play off this guy and muck things up a little bit for you. I guess the difference is, for the Knicks, they've got Jalen Brunson, and the Thunder, they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when they're playing at an MVP level. It doesn't much matter. The Thunder, it feels like the umpteenth year in a row, are just about a league average three-point shooting team, but to both of your guys' point, it has been enough in recent seasons. We do have to talk about Jaylen Brown, though, talking about guys playing at an MVP level. He scored 50 points against the Clippers over the weekend. He's fourth in the league now, averaging 30.1 points per game. He's leading a Celtics team that is 10 games over 500. They're in third place in the Eastern Conference. And today, John Corrales from Locked On Celtics argued he should be in the mix for MVP.
Jaylen Brown, I think, has a legitimate case. And I'm not sure where he's going to end up, because when you look at that game, I think that game against the Clippers was certainly a statement, right? That was I didn't get the Eastern Conference Player of the Month, and so he went nuts. Jalen was doing his own thing. Of those 18 baskets, I would say 13 or so, 14 were like all Jalen doing his thing, isolating off of a pick and roll, getting the matchup that he wanted, and cooking. And if that was a national TV game, maybe there'd be a little bit of movement in that MVP line and a little bit more talk about him in the MVP odds. But you got to make these statements here, and this is like good timing. It's the early January. We've already done one of the ESPN straw polls, right? The Tim Bontemps straw poll. Jalen was down around 9th. So he's on the radar. The first straw poll is almost never what the final vote is. Jalen, as long as he keeps going like this, and obviously not 50 points a game, but he's averaging over 30 now.
Haize, I can't believe I'm doing this. But John kind of has a point. Krause, he's right. Jaylen Brown's been really good. He kind of has to be in this MVP conversation, does he not? I'll take my answer off the air, guys.
Yeah, I think he has to be. I think by everything John just laid out, he has to be. I'm not going to say that he's playing necessarily the best. I think that you look at what some teams are doing with not the core and the coaching that Jaylen Brown has, but Jaylen Brown's having an absolutely amazing season and stepping up without Jason Tatum being there like they've needed him to.
Okay, so I think Jalen does like not having a guy in the quote MVP conversation, which by the way, like the MVP is Shai. It's done. It's over. Like unless Shai gets hurt, we're done here. But the conversation, I'm always like, what do you mean by the conversation? And for me, I think it means ballot. The ballot's top 5. You have to put five players on the ballot. Okay, when you vote. So let's say that Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Wemby all don't qualify. Very possible. That's just like Shai and like the 4 next best players all don't have enough games played. The list is kind of this to me. It's Jalen, Donovan Mitchell, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, and if Steph gets there, because I don't think he's going to play enough games, but if Steph gets there, it's Steph. I think Jalen's been amazing. I think Jalen's been awesome. And that doesn't have to, like, if you don't have him in the MVP conversation, it doesn't mean he sucks. Like, I would have Donovan Mitchell and Tyrese Maxey over him. Like, I would ask you, like, really go look at what they've done. Like, Tyrese Maxey is at 31.1 points a game with 7.1 assists, shooting 40% from 3, when he doesn't know night to night whether his 2 highest paid players are going to be on the court. Maxey's been awesome. Cade leading. I actually wanted to pose this, Haize. If Shai were to not qualify, or if we're just trying to pick the guy after Shai, should it just go to whoever finishes with the 1 seed in the East? Like Jalen Brunson, Like, by who doesn't match up with these other guys? Jalen Brunson, Cade, or Jalen? Is that what we should do?
I mean, there's a possibility. There's a conversation to be made about Anthony Edwards too, depending on where the Minnesota Timberwolves end up finishing. I'm sorry. Like you can make like you mentioned Steph. Anthony Edwards has been considerably better than Steph this season. So I would say that, but like to me, it would be if Shea doesn't qualify, it's either Maxey or Cade Cunningham to me.
Okay. Wes, how does it feel to know that the Celtics have somehow managed to lose their best player, trade two of their best players, and still wind up better than Miami? How does that feel to you?
Well, the Heat are playing with basically all year with $55 million not playing, so I don't want to hear it from the Celtics fans.
Sure.
Don't want to hear it.
Same deal. Jason Tatum and Tyler Hero, for sure.
And Terry Rozier.
And
don't forget it. Winners and losers next. Today's episode is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo. It's the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text just from one shared business number. Nothing gets missed. Everybody sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone or your computer. You can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's Quo, QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, it's Monday, which means it's time to get to our winners and losers from the weekend. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Thunder, Locked On Kings, Locked On Bucks for more on today's top stories. Matt, winner or loser, you go first.
Okay, I will go with a loser first off, because I'm going to go with the New York Knicks, who... Sorry, my man. I'll let you go, Haize. You can tag team on that. We could tag team on this one. Because, like,
yeah, no, I agree with you. They're going to be my loser too. Not only are they on a 3-game losing streak, they lost to Atlanta and Philly. This is a team that last year, if I'm not mistaken, finished with a below 500 record against teams above 500. They're now they have one more win. They're 10-9 against teams above 500 on the season. This is just the same problem that we're seeing from the Knicks. So they're definitely a loser of the weekend.
Yeah,
great minds think alike, man.
Also,
NBA Cup curse. Alive and well.
Yeah, it's the Cup curse, man. It's so weird. Okay, the Lakers bottomed out after they won. The Bucks had a terrible stretch. Everything fell apart after they won the Cup, and now the Knicks are doing this. What is the deal? I can't really figure it out. There's probably something to be said for you have this real high point, and then you celebrate, and then it's it's like going back to work after the holiday, and you're just and
it's like us doing this podcast now.
I'm back here is where I'm back to
5-5 since the Cup win.
Yeah, it's crazy. My winner actually I think would be the Timberwolves, who are taking care of business. They beat the snot out of the real winners got to be Jaylen Brown, but they beat the snot out of the Heat offensively, and then just killed the Wizards, who have been playing some actual better basketball. The Timberwolves started to put together their winning games they should, which has been their kind of bugaboo. So it's good to see Minnesota kind of starting to put it together.
My winner is the Sixers. We talked about them late last week. Since then, they've won 3 games in a row, including wins in Dallas, Memphis, and against the Knicks that you guys were talking about. Tyrese Maxey is scoring nearly 35 points per game over that 3-game stretch. And the real reason they're winners here is because they've had their core 4 of Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and now VJ Edgecombe for 3 straight games. They've been able to start those guys for 3 straight games. And Nick Nurse was talking about this the other day, how he doesn't think he's ever had that since taking the Sixers job. And Embiid is moving better than he has all season long. He looks great. So I think the Sixers have to be considered a winner.
The Sixers also are going to go to 4 because they are playing the Nuggets, who are on a back-to-back after Jamal Murray played 40 minutes, and they can't play Christian Brown or Aaron Gordon, who just came back yesterday. Joel Embiid is going to score 70 points tonight. That is my prediction.
Against Nikola Jokic. Oh, wait.
He's going to score 70 points versus Zeke Naji and Deron Holmes. It's going to be, he's going to.
What is the prize picks over under for him?
He is going to go absolutely insane tonight in that game. Like, Maxey will tear them up because they can't guard guards either. But man, Embiid is going to have so many rebounds. So yeah, if Embiid plays, Embiid is 35-1 to score 45 plus points tonight. And I don't care if he plays 20 minutes, it's possible.
Who else you got? Haize, winners or losers?
Winner player, Cade Cunningham. His performance this weekend over the Cavs was just great to see. 27 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, a block, only 1 turnover. He did only shoot 31% from the field, but when you put up that stat line, that's okay.
Embiid, by the way, I just looked it up. 25.5 points on prize picks.
Wow.
I'm locking that in more. I just got to find 2 more to put my lineup together.
Again, it doesn't really matter how many minutes he plays here, guys. Like,
he could probably do that in 20 minutes.
Yeah. You could also go with the points plus rebounds. That's a good one too, because
prize picks allows you to multiple stats with one player in one lineup now.
Yep.
Loser, the Orlando Magic, who lose. Well, you could say Jalen Suggs is really a loser. So he's out with an MCL, out indefinitely. So the Magic lose their starting point guard. And then the NBA also ruled over the weekend that he's not allowed to wear his headband around his neck anymore, that he has to put his headband on his head. So 2 tough breaks for Jalen Suggs. But overall, the Orlando Magic losing Jalen Suggs, I think that's a big deal. But I want to use this opportunity to shout out Anthony Black here. Haize, what was that?
I said Jalen Suggs did get dunked on from heaven by Modest Buzelis over the weekend.
Oh, God, that was
been rough.
Oh.
Rough weekend for Jalen Suggs. Big time loser this weekend, which is tough. Jalen Suggs is one of my favorite players.
Yeah, it was bad. Anthony Black, though.
He's playing great. He had, 27 points in the start against the Pacers on Sunday, so nice little spot for Anthony Black. Maybe that's who I go with on my – do the Magic play tonight? While you guys are talking, I'm going to try to figure out the rest of my prize picks lineup. Anybody else?
Yeah. I think the other one that I would the Lakers get back-to-back wins versus the Grizzlies, just kind of like a stabilizing, hey, it's going to be all right. Not like that's a pretty good weekend for them, I think. I'm actually going to say the Warriors are kind of losers. The reason is because they did this nonsense where they rested everybody on the national TV game versus the Thunder. Like they ran and hid. And then they came out. And then they came out and were like, oh, look, everybody's back versus the Jazz. Oh, weird. We all didn't feel good, but now we magically feel better so we can play this home game versus the Jazz. There's a lot of hijinks going on. The Jazz are doing this too, where they're resting certain guys when they face certain teams. Like if they face a bad team, all of a sudden Lauri Markkanen's back flares up. And then when they face good teams, he's magically back because they know they'll lose anyway. There's a lot of like hijinks going on in terms of the tanking world. The NBA needs to tighten this stuff up.
Haize, do they need to tighten up this hijinks?
Yeah. They need to tighten everything up. It's a leaky ship.
We're keeping it tight here on Locked On NBA Daily. No hijinks here. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.